Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Painted in Color podcast. I'm co-host Lauren Brown, joined by co-host Mia Araujo, and later Eric Wilkerson. But we forgot to record an intro for the actual episode, so we're doing it now. That's why my hair looks different, and that's why we're wearing different clothes. But this episode talks about making time for your own personal projects. In this life, we know that everybody's busy. There's so many things that get in the way, but really, you only have so much time to explore your personal projects. And if you don't ever make time to create them, then nothing's ever going to be done. You're never going to get the thing off the ground if you don't carve away at it. So whether you chip away at it, whether you get it all done at once, it's up to you. But we'll go into all that and more in this episode.
So throughout my career, I've been I always have this I have always have ideas for personal projects that I want to start or paintings that I think I absolutely have to do this because it's so exciting. Um, and then I kind of talk myself out of it. I think, who's the audience for this, or why should this exist?
Mm.
Um, or if I do this, is this going to impact my ability to get work? Because there's probably going to be a lot of black folks in this painting. And who am I going to show that to? What art director is going to pick that up or want me for something if I have this in my portfolio? So those were the thoughts, these negative thoughts always stirring around in my head whenever it came time, whenever I thought it or got excited about doing a personal painting. Um, but in the past few years, that's no longer a concern. That negative internal voice has quieted down a lot, especially with the publishing industry being the way it is. It's completely evolved from what it was in the early 2000s. So I don't have that apprehension anymore, but I also don't have time.
Time is a big factor.
That My gosh. Like when I was single and didn't have anything else to worry about but myself, I had bags of time to paint whatever I wanted, and I squandered it on Grand Theft Auto. Not even That isn't even like kind of a joke.
No, it's like I can imagine like baby Eric with no responsibilities, just playing video games all day. Because I
Grand
think
Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, that was it. And I was like, I'll paint around 3 o'clock. I'm gonna from like 9 to this time of day. I'm gonna do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then I'll paint from like 3 to midnight. But that was my life. And now I wish I could just have like 5 hours where nobody's calling my name so I could just sit and paint what I want. So what I'm thinking about started to really stir again in my head because I had the opportunity a few weeks ago to meet and speak to a famous illustrator named Thomas Blackshear. And
oh,
uh,
cool.
I was at a Magic Card convention in Denver, Colorado, and one of Thomas's uh, proteges, an artist named Kevin Johnson, messaged me while I was at the convention and said, "Hey Eric, I didn't know you were going to be in town." It never even dawned on me that Thomas Blackshear lived in Colorado. So I scrambled to try to meet, connect with both of them, and I ended up traveling to his place, which is like an hour away from the convention, um, by Uber, which was super expensive,
Oh,
but I didn't
wow.
care.
Yeah,
I
right.
didn't like
Yeah.
if
Worth
I just
it.
said to myself, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity to meet a Hall of Fame illustrator, like somebody that helped shaped my
Yeah.
career and inspired me to do this professionally. If I bow out of this to just sit in my hotel and watch Netflix, I will regret it for the rest of my life. So
Won't pass this one up.
can't pass this up. And so I go to his studio, and I was as giddy as a little schoolboy. Like I like seeing all these paintings like for real and real. I could touch this stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, this exists, and it's right in front of me, and it's not a little JPEG. But talking to him, about his Western uh, paintings that he does, and and how prolific he is, and how much he enjoys the art that he's making. He's not chasing after, he doesn't have to chase after any art director or company. He's just painting what he loves and he knows it's going to sell.
Yeah.
And I just, part of me just thinks, okay, well, that his success in that field came from dabbling in that personal art. He was making personal art and just seeing if it would, how it would go. And it it did really it did really well. He's really successful with it. Um, but I just think about the time that we have and the things that you really care about, because some artists out there, there's a number of them out there. The personal work informs the professional work, or the
Yeah.
personal work got them their first professional jobs. So to the point where companies basically will say, do this thing that you we know that you love to do, and but just change up a few things to fit our brand.
Yeah.
That's like that's the
That's what we'll
dream.
hire you for. It's like we want you to show your full passion because
Right.
that's going to always be the art that best reflects, like that's going to be the best showing of your work. Like what you
Right.
can actually do is the stuff that you actually want to be creating in the first place.
Yep. And but then I think about the countless artists out there that do nothing but, not that that's a bad thing, but they do nothing but fan art, whether
Hmm.
it's comic book fan art, Lord of the Rings fan art, whatever the fan art is. Is that you? Or is like, what part of you is in that painting of Wolverine or Gandalf or something,
Yeah.
versus you creating something that you are really, really passionate about. But I don't know. I can't speak to that. Maybe they don't have something else outside of that love for that brand that they're, or that, I don't know, that franchise that they're painting from.
Yeah.
Um,
I can speak to that.
okay.
I'm not really I'm not a fan artist, but from my experiences, what I've seen, if that fan artist does their work at a high enough level, then oftentimes that can be what kickstarts their career. For example, one of my fellow SCAD alumni, Tyson Hess, was basically the one who saved the Sonic the Hedgehog movies because he did Sonic comics basically since he'd graduated SCAD, and like also had done like these like really funny Sonic comics as well, like that were just his own, like it was fan art, but it was just something that he thought was funny. And that was back in like 2012. And then flash forward to, 2022. I don't remember when the Sonic movie came out, but that awful first trailer came out and it looked terrible, and everybody, the internet bullied Paramount into fixing it. And when they fixed it, they hired on Tyson Hess as the lead character artist on the movie, and the style that the movies are now is basically that's his style, and he's like redefined the franchise. And so sometimes it can, but you have to be doing it at a very high level in order to get recognized as that. So that's going to be like the top 1% of fan artists. So that's the caveat there as well. But it's not to say it's impossible, but like some people really love the thing that they love, and like they just want to do fan art of it, and that's what makes them happy. And so like some people will consider it's like, well, this is like the fullest showing of my passion. Um, but just for any person who loves doing fan art and doesn't really have anything else, like if you're not doing that fan art at a high level, then there's less chances of it going somewhere that you might want it to go. But it is very rare when that kind of thing happens, but it can happen sometimes. So it's not to fully discount fan art either, is what I wanted to add to that.
I kind of don't see it as much different than like illustration, or commissioned work to some degree. It's just like you're choosing the subject, right? You're not being commissioned to do that fan art, but to some extent, I mean, comic artists that are using like an existing IP, but they've kind of made their style of Spider-Man or whichever one of these characters like the iconic one where everybody attributes their name to that character, you know. I feel like it's not their idea, but their style and their vision and the way they tell that story through their skills, you know, is iconic as well. So it's like it is kind of their self-expression. But I do think that it is really hard. I think, especially going to conventions, it really is hard to stand out in terms of your own ideas as well. So I feel like I completely understand why people make fan art because it is an easy way to get people across the room, as we've said many times before. It's a recognizable character, and if it's going to pay the bills, you know, whatever works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does.
something that I ask students sometimes is what kind of art would you make or what would you do if you didn't have to worry about money?
Yeah.
Because if you have an answer to that question, that's what you should be doing. That's it. You've basically figured out what your passion is, and because that's what you would do if you didn't have to worry about paying bills. So, um, figuring out that answer and then making the time to finish the work. Because, like our friend Tim would say, nobody cares until you
Mhm.
finish it.
It's true.
You could say up and down that, you want to be this kind of artist or that kind of artist. But until you have the proof out there in the world, you're just talking.
Yeah.
So part of me feels like for the longest time, I've just been talking instead of putting the work out there and saying, okay, well, this is the kind of art I want to be making. I've done it a couple of times, but not anywhere near the amount. Like when I look at Thomas Blackshear's Western paintings, he's done dozens of them. He's just
Yeah.
churning that stuff out. And I'm just thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing with the available time in my life that I can't be as prolific as that? And I know that's not fair to compare myself to another artist because, everybody's situation is different, but
Yeah.
I just I feel there that imposter syndrome kicks in where you say, well, I want to be known as XYZ kind of artist. I want to be a Western artist. I want to be an Afrofuturist. I want to be this. I want to be that. Okay, where's the proof? We got like three paintings.
You gotta keep putting that work out there.
Yeah, like and then uh it's a lot. Then there's that negative self-talk that kicks in and you're like, okay, well, what gallery wants this? Why are you painting this large because is this
Yeah.
just gonna sit in your basement? So and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Maybe I should just not even paint it. There, boy.
It's just like, and that's not getting you anywhere because you're not making any progress. Even the things that are not the best showing of your work and you're just experimenting and you failed at an experiment, it's not really a failure. You've learned something from the attempt at the very least. And that attempt gets you to the next attempt and the next attempt until you get something that you feel happy with. But I would often go along that same thought process of stopping myself from making art because I would think to myself, what is the point of making this? This is not saying all the things that I want to say, or it's not, the most creative idea that I could make at this moment. But the act of making it is so much better than not making it in the first place. There's a reason why my mind wanted that to exist, even if I don't know it yet, because I don't always know why I want to make an illustration. But the act of making something just because you want to make it and you don't stop yourself, you often find hidden gems within that piece because you weren't overthinking everything about it. You were just having fun. And those pieces where you are having fun, you're just letting yourself express what you want to express at that given moment based off whatever you might have seen that day or whatever got stuck in your brain at any given time. And it just comes out in your paintings, and people can see that in your work and they're like, "Hey, I really like that piece that you did, and you didn't think anybody would like it." And you're like, "Oh, wait, this is something? I didn't think this was anything." So you might as well make it. But I spent so much time beating myself up about, well, I don't have the most creative idea right now. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this, like I can't really sell this at a convention. Like nobody's gonna want to buy this. and I can just make an illustration for myself. It doesn't even have to be for sale, but it is the issue of time as well because I'm like, well, I'm working full time. I have to make art for this convention. I have to make sure that I'm making something for this gallery show, and you just stop yourself from getting to have your little playground a bit because art should be also about play. I think we often lose that part of our art when we are making art for money, is that we forget to play. And the moment you start making art for play again, you start to tap into something that you used to always have in you when you were a kid and you always used to draw. There was no pressure there. And that is the purest expression of what you actually want to make, is when you just get to play with your art. So I encourage people to play and make the thing, even if it doesn't have to go anywhere. It doesn't have to. Do it for yourself. Make art for you again. It's never too late to do it.
That's such a great point. And it's also like two sides of your brain, right? Like it's the
Yeah.
creative side is the expressive, the I'm here now, this is the thing I want the most. And then the all the other nagging thoughts, that's like the rational part of your brain. And making art isn't rational, right? So it's like, but that part is a separate part of the process, right? It's like the commercial side. It's like, how do I make money off this? How do I XYZ? And you can make those decisions later. Like you can make that painting and then decide I'm gonna do what Donato does and he like sets them on fire after a few years, like when he doesn't sell them or whatever.
That's
So that
crazy.
can still happen, but you can still paint it and then get the, all the learning that you got out of making that painting could still happen. But I'm with you, Eric, in the sense that like I'm clearing out my like my studio and stuff like that and like kind of marveling actually hearing you talk about this, Lauren. I was like, wow, I was so bold like 15, 20 years ago, painting these paintings so big, like as a total like novice, you know what I mean? Like such a new painter that didn't know anatomy, didn't know any of this stuff. And I was painting 24 by 36 paintings, 48 by 16, and
Wow.
like humongous paintings. And I kind of wish I still had that because I think I do think of things a little more rationally now, where I'm like, what is the end result? What is the end game here with each painting? And yeah, I think we need play, and not every painting has to be for money or for a rational end game.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea of making paintings that you yourself just want to keep because
Yeah.
you're really making it for yourself. It's like I just made a piece for a gallery. It's like a little 6x6 guy for a group show. And for a while I was just thinking about what I wanted to make and I was putting all this pressure on myself. And then I was thinking, well, like, why don't I just make whatever I'm fascinated with right now? And so I became fascinated with the concept of a whale fall, where when a whale dies in the ocean, its body sinks to the ocean floor. There's an entire ecosystem that springs like from its decaying corpse, and I think that's just a beautiful thing. And I was like, oh, I want to do that, but like with a dragon. So it's like magical, and there's like little mushroom guys, like making a little home in the corpse of the dragon. And it was just this little 6x6 watercolor piece, and it's not perfect by any means. And I'm still learning how to do watercolor properly, but I had so much fun making that piece. I made these cute little mushroom guys just walking around pulling wheelbarrows and stuff. And from beginning to end, it was just like, I just had fun. I played and I looked at it when I was done and I was like, oh, I made this. And it's like, I haven't felt that way about a lot of my digital art for a really long time. It's like I made this, was like, okay, I'm moving on to the next thing. But when you get to really sit and rest in the process and get to savor it, every moment of it, you like look at it and it's like, wow, like where'd that come from? Like I just had so much fun and I really like how this piece came out, even if it's not perfect. I want to make more art like this, where I just get to kind of flow through the process and let this be whatever it wants to be. And like without putting so much pressure on it, without trying to make it be the best thing you've ever made, sometimes you just can have so much fun with it. So yeah, I think it is important to learn how to separate sometimes, or like maybe not separate because you can have fun with things that you're going to sell too. But if you can be smart enough to combine those two things and make sellable art that you play in, that's the sweet spot right there. But if that's really hard for you to do, or like you can't unify those things, or sometimes you just need a break from trying to have your business brain all the time, giving yourself a little treat, giving yourself a little day, maybe like research something that you love. If you're a creature artist, for example, research your favorite animal and just look at pictures of it and read about, its little adventures or whatever it does. Or if you love architecture, just look at buildings, like have a day where you go to a museum and like look at photography. Like just let yourself fall into your art a little bit. I think a lot of people fall out of love with art because we just think about that one single-minded end goal, but we forget how we got there in the first place. I have to try to do that for myself. Like when I walk in my forest, I just look at a log and stare at ants for a while. Just like I used to when I was a kid. It's more
Yeah,
fun.
my for me, uh to the personal projects that keep swimming around in my head. I don't know about you guys or many other artists I've talked to. I don't know how people come up with ideas, but I tend to compose stuff in my head,
Mhm.
like a puzzle piece, and I might sketch something out, but usually I see the painting pretty fully formed in my head before I start sketching. But for these two paintings that I wanted to do, that I've been wanting to do for over a decade, I only saw half the puzzle. I knew the story I wanted to tell. I knew I wanted them to be multi-figure pieces, like probably over, I don't know, over a dozen characters in each piece. But I was only seeing half the puzzle. And then last Christmas, I always have these things like a half done Photoshop file that I will never show anybody. And then I finally figured out the last part of the puzzle. And I ran upstairs to like tell my wife. I was like all excited, like thinking there would be another human being that could understand what I'm talking about. And I just blurted out this like, it was just a mess of words. And then it's gonna be this battleship. And it was like, oh, that's nice.
That's so cute. It's like your eureka moment. It's like eureka.
Yes, I was like, yeah, I figured it out. So then it was like, oh, I'm not gonna have time in my schedule because of my workload to do this piece until like like next November. Oh, so yeah.
And you just want to make it. But is there any way that you can chip away on that piece? Like, does it have to be this whole block of time reserved just to work on it, or can you just kind of, work on bit by bit when you get a
Well,
moment?
so to do it, okay, so I could do it bit by bit. Yes, the short answer is yes.
Hmm.
The long answer is to do it properly and not like phone it in or do it as a color sketch in a sketchbook and just call it a day.
Yeah.
I have to learn Blender.
Oh. Wait, why do
Um,
you have to learn Blender? Can't you
it's
sculpt?
either I learn Blender or I sculpt a giant mech. And I'm like,
You don't want to sculpt a giant mech?
I probably should just sculpt the giant mech.
You should sculpt a giant, make it
I should
easy.
just
You
sculpt
don't
the
have
giant.
to like put a barrier in place for yourself.
Okay. All right. Now that Lauren has told me that, then I'm gonna
You know how to sculpt already. Like you can just sculpt it.
because for the longest time I just keep looking at the sketch going, one of these days I'm gonna learn Blender and I'm gonna bang out this entire environment and I'm gonna light it properly and then I'm gonna hit that render button and I'm gonna have all the reference I need for my multi-figure thing and all the distance from all the characters and everything's gonna be spatially correct. All right. Maquette and some GI
Yep.
Joes.
Nice.
The walls, the unnecessary walls that we put in front of ourselves are like we do this to ourselves because I think part of it might be fear of success, where this piece is going to be done and like this idea is out of your head. And so, yeah, we tell ourselves these narratives that we have to, no, we can only start doing this once we've accomplished this big task that's in front of us. And of course, it never gets accomplished because it's like this, it's an endeavor. Learning Blender is an endeavor. And by the way, you should learn Blender. It's a great program. But with what time are you going to learn? If you don't know, if you know you don't have time to learn Blender, there's ways around the problem, namely physical thing that you know how to make already.
Yeah.
You have the solution. All you need to do is make it happen. But
Yep.
I do this to myself all the time, so I get it. I understand completely. I think a lot of people do that. It's like, oh, I have to get, like for example, I have to get really good at writing first. I have to take these writing courses before I can write no, you could just write. You could just write a story. It's like, oh, I gotta learn how to do this like perfect, perspective before I can draw this background. It's like, or you could just figure it out on the fly. So yeah, no barriers, Eric.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore. We make life easy for ourselves.
Well, and Okay, because like balsa wood exists, right?
Sure does.
I can, I can just make the I can just make a little diorama and light it.
Yeah.
Just that'd be a lot faster than trying to a diorama and some acrylic paint and
Yeah.
spray some varnish on it, take it outside and or whatever. Set up the
Do
lights.
whatever you need
Good.
to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
That's
can
this
print
been
out.
therapeutic actually.
Yeah.
I'm glad we worked that out.
I
Yeah.
understand. I do understand, like, especially that piece has been living so long in your head. Like, it's like you want to do it justice. And if you're going to spend all this time, like, you already know how much of an investment it's going to be. So I understand the pressure you've already put on yourself for this painting. But I think that it can, because I do it too. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, and I've done it with this book, right? That it's like, there's a part of me that was actually disappointed when I finished because I was like, it was not perfect. I knew, and I know it. Nobody
Um,
else will know, but I do because I know what I rushed. I know what I didn't have time to do, and I'm mad at it because I'm like, I spent so long and it still wasn't enough. But the truth is, I was so burned out that even if they gave me another month, I would not have been able to do it. So it was such a great lesson in letting go and being like, no, the real triumph was finishing it. The thing I thought about for so long and talked about for so long that people were so sick of to hear me talk about it is done. That's the triumph, you know? So,
yeah.
and the fact that I had fun, because I did remember the last year I was working on it, I was like, wow, like seeing the months kind of going away. And I was like, I want to actively enjoy this. I don't want it to just be a stress panic mode thing to the finish line, and just to slow down at points and be like, I'm doing this, I'm actually making this, and enjoy that. Like, if you can do those two things, finish something and enjoy making it, like what more, could you want out of this life, right? So at least that's what I think. But yeah, I think that I do want to actively going forward lean into the fun, because there is so much
Yes.
pressure with every piece you make. And honestly, it's like I was talking to some amazing authors that have had, several books under their belt and stuff, and were telling me the second book is the harder one because now people have expectations of you. And I'm like, oh great.
Um,
Like, that's the last thing I want to hear, because it's like no one thinks you can do it when you're doing your first, right? And so it's like there's less, no one's paying attention. And
yeah.
now what's the next thing you're going to do? So now your choices matter more, or like you're measuring it up to the last thing you did. Like, is it going to be similar enough? Is the audience that like this one going to like this too? And all this stuff. And this conversation is a great reminder that none of that matters at this stage. At this stage, all that matters is that I like it and that I'm having fun making it. Because otherwise, what's the point? It's so much work.
Exactly. It's like might as well love the process while you're in it. Like
Yeah.
whenever you can. Because I know that, yeah, like when you're in the middle of a project, it's stressful. It's so stressful. But just reminding yourself that, you know, this is so much has been culminating to this point. And it's very difficult to do that in the middle of a project because you're in the thick of the thing. And you're like, before you start a project, you have a vision of what it's supposed to look like. You're like, oh, I'm gonna hold on. Grace is stepping on my keyboard. There we go. There's like you have a vision of like I'm gonna get up in the morning and drink my coffee and I'm gonna be in the sunbeam while I illustrate this thing. It's like often just like you're pulling out your hair trying to figure something out and you're like stressed. You're like, what is this next line supposed to say? And it's just and you're just like looking like Miyazaki with a cigarette in your mouth that's not actually there, and you're just like burned out over a keyboard. It's never so romantic, but you have to remember that like you want to do this. You're like, I do this with joy. I promise I do this with joy. But when you can really embody that, it does make a lot of difference. So I'm glad that you were able to have fun with it, Mia, because I know that it was also really tough. It's finishing a project is hard, man. It's really hard.
It is.
But I'm also like, same as you, Eric. There's been a story, and I've talked about it on the show before, and I'm also so tired of talking about it. It's been in my head for 12 years now. It needs to get out.
Oh,
It needs to go away from my head and be somewhere so that people can read it and know the characters I fell in love with. And it's weird and whimsical, and it's so very me. And I don't know if anybody will like it. At this point, I just cannot care anymore. I just have to make it. I have to. It's torture to keep this in my head.
Yeah. It's one of the and I don't want to sound morbid, but it's like letting the world know you exist or
It is.
existed, you know? You don't. I somehow, for some way, my phone always shows me links where somebody's talking about 5 things people regret before they die. I'm like, my brain always goes to that painting that you wanted to do,
That story that I wanted to tell.
that story you wanted to tell,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
person you wanted to talk to, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Just do it. That's a
Just
slogan
do it.
somewhere. That's a
It's
that's
a slogan
somebody's
somewhere. I don't know.
that's
Some
a
might be
slogan
somebody's tagline.
somewhere.
Copyright.
Sure.
Just do it.
Just the Shia LaBeouf. Just do it.
Just do it.
You said tomorrow, like what is it? You said today, tomorrow, like or yesterday or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said tomorrow, yesterday. That's what it was. It's actually so true though. And time is also interesting because when you have the time, you never appreciate that you have it. You only appreciate the time that you have when you have so little of it to spend on things. And it's so difficult to see. It's like, well, you know, it'll be a day where it's like a free day, and you're like, well, what do I do with this day? And like, you kind of like pussyfoot around or whatever. And then it's the end of the day, you're like, I didn't get anything done. And sometimes those days are important, but it's so bizarre how we can look back and we're like, we had so much time. Why didn't we spend our time? I was really curious to ask you, Eric, actually, like because you mentioned it in the top of the episode. What would you have done differently as your younger self instead of playing Grand Theft Auto? Or do you see that it would be any different for you under any other circumstance? Or did you need that time where you played Grand Theft Auto? Like, were you ever going to use that time differently? Is that just where you are in life?
I think that's I don't think I would have probably done anything differently. I think I was really stressed out
Mm,
um early, like 2000, between 2008 2012, between that space of time. My mom was sick. My mom had cancer, and I couldn't even think about painting anything. Like if I got through a painting, I mean, it was samples to prove to somebody that I could do the job. And if I wasn't working on a sample, I didn't have the physical energy to try to produce personal work because I always thought to myself, well, there's no market for what I want to paint. So why bother doing it? And I need to be spending my time working on portfolio samples so I could prove to DC or Marvel or Wizards or whoever that I exist and that I could do the work. And then any other time I was just emotionally drained from everything else going on. But no, I don't think I would have done anything differently. Um, like knowing that, yeah, no, that's yeah, those games were lifesavers for me.
yeah, you couldn't have done anything differently. And I think
No,
that's be kind to your younger self because he needed that space and that time, that rest.
yeah. And finding out that you could date the crew in Mass Effect changed my life.
Eric, my boy.
I was like, wait a second. Like playing the game and learning how to talk to girls at the same time. Like, oh,
You needed that.
I did. I
You
did.
needed that.
But yeah. So somebody out there can relate. Somebody say, oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like it's also a testament too, because I think a lot of people they're like making their stuff and they're like, why am I even making this? It's like art and creativity and games and TV and all that stuff. These are all escapes that people need to, put our minds elsewhere and into another place or to absorb a different story. Storytelling is the oldest art form of humanity. It really is. Narrative exists in all creative forms, and we need stories to get us through difficult times in life or good times in life even. The fact that we're here making our art is such an important thing. So even those silly illustrations that you think aren't going to matter or be anything, you have no idea who will see that and connect with it, relate to it, smile at it, just like it might lift their day, it might lift their spirits, it might change the trajectory of somebody's life or somebody's direction where they want to go. as a creative. Like I certainly have had many moments where I saw something and I was like, I cannot stop thinking about this illustration. Like this illustration is everything, or this story is everything, or your art can mean so much to somebody if only you would make it, but you have to make it for it to mean anything to anybody. It's just important to put that out there. So yeah, it's like, because you have no idea what young person, who's going through a hard time could get out of that. Sometimes you got to date an alien in Mass Effects.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to explore space like with a little four-eyed dude like I did in Outer Wilds. I was like, oh, this is an awesome game. You unlock the profundity of life, or sob at a game like Journey. You just don't know. We just don't know. You can read about a girl having a travel, through fantasy West Africa and figuring out her life as an independent person away from a twin sister. Who knows? So yeah, I'm also reminding myself too. It's like my weird story. Like it's been like the thing that's been in my head for 12 years has been there for a reason. I've fixated in it so long for a reason. And even if I don't think it's anything, like it probably will be something to at least one other person, I'm sure. Even if I think it's super weird and nobody will understand it. I'm like, well, I could just make it and find out. And if no one understands it, great, I can move on and do something else instead.
Absolutely.
No one's gonna die if I make my story and people don't like it. It's like, well, I can move on.
And I don't think that length of time that it was in your head is kind of like lost time either, because you've grown as a person and as an artist that entire time. And when you do make it, it will be better for that, you know?
Yeah. No, it's very true. Like it changes with me too. The ideas that you have in your head will transform with you as you get older, as you get wiser, more mature, as you go through different things in life, because there's different parts of yourself that you want to incorporate that are different from that person that you were 12 years ago. So it's definitely a different, story than it was. And I know it's been marinating for a reason. And I have to believe that it's going to come out when it needs to come out because I was ready for it. So I'm trying to also be kind to myself for having something like that for so long. But I mean, you had your story for that long, Mia, didn't you?
I mean, I was actively working on it, but part-time for like 10 of the years, and then finally got to work on it for like 2.5 of the last years, like full time. But yeah, it was just, that's the thing. It's like you can just be chipping away at something, and it could be taking different, going through an evolution and be completely different by the time it's done and have some seeds of the original in it, the original idea. And that's something you can't foresee either. You just have to trust the process. I know it's a cliche, but it really is true that it's like,
True. Especially for stories, is definitely true.
yeah, where I'm
Mia,
at.
how does it feel? How does it feel for you? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I think there's a lag on my end. Go ahead.
Okay, how does it feel for you to have finished such a big project that's been with you, been a part of your life for a decade?
I mean, it's weird because it's like I think I'm just, first of all, relieved that I finished it, because I there were times where we had to, postpone the deadline that I thought that I wouldn't make it. Um so I'm just relieved to be done. I'm proud that I finished it, and that I actually, because it was really painful for years to tell people it's going to be out in 2 years, it's going to be out in another 2 years. Um and like you said too, when you're that person that just talks about your project for so long, but especially when it's something you've never done before, I felt like I really, didn't have a lot of faith in myself that I could, like, I went from having zero faith in myself that I could write something to having some like confidence to like now having a lot more confidence. Not that I can do anything, but it's just like having done the thing does give you confidence you didn't have before. I think
Yeah.
it's just true. But especially for somebody with anxiety like me, I think there's people that are more confident than me in general. So when they do something for the first time, they bring that confidence to everything they do. And I'm just not that person. I doubt myself every step of the way. If somebody comes and tells me I'm doing something wrong, I believe them instead of, I tend to. So this project gave me a lot of self-confidence in the sense that it's like, even if I don't have all the answers in the beginning, I can still figure it out. And it reminds me of when I was waiting tables at the last restaurant before the pandemic, that I was so terrified of like being at this super fancy place that I felt like if I fail here, it's like really big deal. I remember the minute it flipped the switch in my head was when I figured that out. That it's like I cannot predict who's gonna come through that door and sit in my section, how mean they're gonna be, how awful they're gonna be. But what I can predict is that I will know how to figure out when I get in the weeds that I can pull myself out of it. And that's the same thing with this, that it's like I don't know what's gonna happen on the way to that, but I know that I can
Yeah.
figure it out. And that's not a confidence I had before. But as far as everything else, I think it really hasn't changed in the sense that I think the one gift of kind of sitting on the sidelines for years of my art career and watching everybody else kind of get to be full-time artists and illustrators and getting all these amazing jobs and all this stuff was that it actually it's almost like it taught me self-worth just by wanting to do a thing as opposed to what
Mhm.
other people perceived my art as or the accolades or any of the like external success stuff. So I'm super grateful for that. So now having put all this into something, it doesn't actually feel so bad that it's a drop in the ocean, as I told you guys earlier, putting it out there. The real triumph was having gotten here. So this is a very long answer to your question. I mean, for it to go on so long,
Great.
but I think the cool thing about it, and maybe why I'm feeling all kinds of ways, is because I feel like I already kind of went through the emotional roller coaster of it, like having gotten up to here, and then everything else is just like a cherry on top. It's like I got to do the thing, and anything else is just extra. Like I feel very lucky that I got to make it because I know like the times we live in, and just how hard it is to be an artist in this day and age. It's just I don't know. I guess I just the main feeling is gratitude, and especially people who have taken the time to like write me and say, I read it and this is how I felt about it, and that they enjoyed it. Like I'm just grateful for that too. That it connected with people in a way that is what I would hope with any of my art. So yeah.
I just keep thinking to myself whenever I sit in my studio here and I flip through it, I just look at the paintings and just the amount of work that you put into every one of those illustrations. It's just beautiful work. And I just kept thinking, there's no way nobody would have published this 20 years ago.
I mean, I'm
Like,
surprised they even publish it now because it's even just like a debut author wanting to do this, like this much color, work in a full book and everything, like from the subject matter to everything, it's just like it did feel like a swing even now. But
yeah,
yeah, I but it also it's just like all the work I put into it. I see the imperfections in the sense that I'm like, I'm not a concept artist. So I'm like, I could see this being designed way better by someone else and written way better
Oh,
by someone else. Wait, let me finish this thought though. It's
oh,
like
go on, go
all
on.
the different elements. I'm like, there's someone else who could have done all these aspects better than me. But you have to remember you are like the one person doing it all. And then you have your own point of view. And that's the unique thing that you bring. And that's enough. But it's so hard. I think we're such perfectionists, and we, especially when we love something, we want to put everything into it. And I'm just always thinking like I could have done it better, I could have done it better. But I think that just shows that you care, right? Like it shows that you care so much about it. But I think it's gotta let that side of the brain take it easy too and just enjoy the fact that, or appreciate the fact that you made the thing.
I
It's
also
really
used
only
to think
that's
about
funny.
um I used to look at the career path of artists that I went to school with, and how they became instant rock star illustrators, and I'm at Walmart like regretting my life choices in school and all that stuff. But and I had to remind myself that there's every for everything there's a season.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
what I wanted to paint, the stuff that I eventually got work with the kind of portfolio that I have, took a while before companies were receptive to it. People I went to school with didn't have that issue. They
Yeah.
could paint their dragon characters or their comic book characters and, call it a career. Um, you're in your season.
It's true.
May it be may it be many. I'm saying, but but it took a while to get there, but you're here. So when and work gets you work. So while you're writing that next middle grade or children's book, people can see from the cover to the interiors what you're capable of. Scholastic's got your back.
Mhm. Thank you.
They're great to work with.
They really are.
So,
And now you know it's possible to do. So yeah, like you said, you have that confidence that you know you can do it again because you've already done it once. That's one of the biggest barriers to finishing anything is not even knowing if you can do it. Now you know. You're certain that you can do it because we hold the physical copy in our hands.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I know that again, ideas are so easy to come up with, but getting to the finish line is so hard. And it's like, um, I think that to me, it's like going forward, just finishing is going to be the one goal I set for myself, as opposed to it being meeting a certain standard. Like, you know, your standards are your standards, right? And you're always going to want to outdo yourself, or go beyond, or keep pushing yourself, right? But I think that as to kind of dovetail to what we were talking about in the beginning, I think that can be limiting. And I just want to, it's not about being better in art like all the time. Like for me, it's like I think when I was younger it was about that. It's like I want to keep improving, and I do. I think it's good to want to improve your craft, but I think what's more important the older I get and the less time I have, like you said, Eric, is thinking about what are the stories that I just want to make because I enjoy being there. I like being in that world and being with those characters because that's how I want to spend my life, you know, is it's not like I'm not trying to flex for other artists. That's kind of like what improving is really kind of about on some level, or flex to myself even. It's just about enjoying and being immersed in this world and being present. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think also so many artists have like these different thoughts in their head, these creative ideas and and little musings that never really go anywhere. What I'm trying to do a little bit more now is allowing my little creative ideas, no matter how silly they might seem. I'd like to give them a little bit more space to actually exist. So what I started doing was there was a book called The Artist's Way, where they're like one of the assignments basically that they have is the morning pages. And it's, when you get up in the morning, your task is to write 3 pages of whatever it is you want to write. It does not matter. No one has to ever see it. You're not supposed to even look back and read them. And you just write whatever comes to mind. And usually that's my time to give whatever creative ideas I had in my head, even if I'm not planning to make anything of them, just give them a little space to exist. And so I was like, oh, I had this whimsical little story about mushrooms doing a thing. I'm like, I'm just going to write that down. I'm just going to put that somewhere, record it for later. And then the year after, I get to look at the full notebook of morning pages and be like, oh my God, like some of these ideas are bangers. Hold on.
Yeah,
They're like little reminders that you're leaving for yourself, little time capsules. And you're honoring your creative ideas and your creative spirit and giving it a space to breathe and exist. Because I think before I would just think about just so much random stuff throughout the day and would never give it the time that it needed to flourish or put roots in or just be something that was there. A reminder that I thought that I had this thought at this space and time. That is like having a record of these things have helped me so much because I'm like, oh, I can just like, even if it's not much, even if it's not a huge project, I can give it something. I can make it exist in some kind of form or capacity, or just draw a little doodle of it and color it really quick. It like doesn't have to be the most, but I've been so much more creatively happy just giving my ideas a little bit of time and space, just a little bit. So I think that's my suggestion to add to that is like spending more time with your art. 'Cause I think doing 20-minute life drawing in the morning is fantastic. It's a great practice to do. And yeah, just allowing your creative ideas to just breathe a little bit,
I want to
honor them a little bit.
I want to do that because that is flexing the muscle as well, right? Because it's
It
like
is.
it's jotting the ideas down, but it's also teaching you that it's not so scary because you're doing it every day, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it makes you less afraid of creating in the first place. Yeah. What about you, Eric? Do you have any techniques that you've adopted to like make your art side more healthy?
no. I'm
That's not true. I don't believe you.
I can't think of anything. I'm usually trying to squeeze every minute of every day to make something to be as productive as I can, but I don't know if I do any kind of practice exercises or fun things on the side.
You even frolic?
I haven't frolicked in for a long time, man.
Eric, you were the one that reminded us of Frolic.
I know. You
Too
know, have you guys ever been to Great Wolf Lodge? You know what Great Wolf Lodge
I
is?
have no idea what that is. What is that?
So it's this like chain of like hotels that has indoor swimming pools and slides and ice cream and all that stuff. It's crazy. But they oversell this joint by like 500 people.
Oh
It's just
no.
jam-packed full of
Wow.
people. That was the last time I tried to frolic, but it's hard to frolic when there's like 200 people in line for the for the water slide. Anyway,
Such a mood though.
but yeah, that's no. Um, I've been trying to start my day off. It's like I know some people start their day off with drawing. I'm trying to start my day off with some kind of physical exercise. That's what I've
That's really
been
good.
trying to do, trying to get my steps in.
Mm.
Yeah.
Uh, whether it's a half an hour of some kind of physical exercise, because it's the one thing that I remind my students of, and it's the one thing that my neighbor who's a nutritionist texts me at random hours, like, "Did you get your steps in today?"
Oh, wow.
Like, oh
I
my
need that.
God. Uh,
Cool though.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm checking on
but like
you.
they also know that my job is super sedentary.
Yeah.
Um, so if I and it's something I forget to do, especially when I'm on a deadline.
Mhm.
Like I don't, I think, well, if I'm going to spend half an hour walking or weightlifting or something like that, that's a half hour more of this painting I could get done.
Mhm.
So there's that conflict, inner conflict. Well, yeah, what's health?
Oh no.
Because I got to hit this deadline.
Your kids need you to be around.
And
Well,
your creative
then there's
painting too.
there's that too.
Your art wants you to live.
Right. Because I then, you think about all these people that lose their jobs. Um, if they lose their life, somebody will just replace them at their job like the next day. Like that part of you is replaceable. If I miss a deadline, it'll be okay, but if I physically can't do the work because I'm just sick or dead, you know, I don't know. I'm all man, I'm really like the conversation. That's just where my head's at. I don't know.
No, but this is good though. This is like, how do you make I don't want to say the last years, but I'm saying the remaining years of our lives kind of like,
Sunset.
stretch them out so we can make the things we want to make. And it's like, carve out that time to make the stuff you want to make every day or every week. Maybe not every day. Okay, fine. Every week,
That can be tough. Yeah.
every month, something that feels achievable. But just, yeah, if you like, summary of your life is like, I'm not doing the thing I love, then at least start to, and you can't do much about it, like squeezing some time in at least will, I think, help with that. But then same with like your health, like you're saying, taking care of your physical health, because that is always like, we're really going to regret not having that in the future. And
Definitely.
it's going to extend the years we can make things if we take care of that now. So I think it is important that you're talking about that, even if
Yeah.
it's morbid.
Yeah. I definitely
The
don't ever
the
regret having
people
an
I
overpower.
admire, the artists that are still healthy and functional and able, their vision's okay, their hands aren't shaking. They're not talking about having to take all kinds of medications. They can get up, they exercise, they do their yoga, whatever it is, and they can go paint and do or be creative in whatever way they are creative and just be happy. That's goal.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like with this rush, you got to get X amount of paintings done per year. You got to do this, you got to do that in order to make a living. Okay, got it. But when are you going to find time for
There you
yourself?
go.
When are you going to find time to make sure that you are healthy and around
Yeah.
to enjoy, all of these things? So,
Hmm.
Um, as much as I worry about personal projects and professional projects and finding the time for all of that, I am becoming increasingly concerned about overall health and making the time. Sometimes I don't have time to go to the gym, so I just turn on a YouTube video of somebody exercising and I just go along with that.
Yeah.
And that just feels very adult. It's like it's a very adult thing to do.
Yes. You
Like, oh gosh. But
gotta look after yourself. This is what life becomes, where you got to keep on top of it, however you can. Because like walking for 20 minutes a day is still a valid form of exercise. Like, I think a lot of people have this idea that they I have to go to the gym, but I hate the gym, and so they never go. And like, you don't have to do all that. You can just walk, or you can just do an exercise that feels like it works for you. Like I'm sure I've talked about it in the show before, but I think like in 2021 I lost weight playing DDR at home. Like there, it doesn't have to be the whole thing. It can be something that you actually like to do. But it's like however you choose to keep on top of your own physical health. It's really important because yeah, we like our body is a part of our livelihood. Like we have to keep our brains healthy, we have to keep our eyes healthy, we have to keep our hands healthy and the rest of this whole system working properly. Um, and as we get older and older, it's a real consideration. And sometimes I hear about these artists who, I'll admire them so much. They have their web comics and everything. They like do art every single day, all the time. But then they're like, I have to take a 3 month break because my wrist is just dead. And I'm like, oh God, like they weren't taking care of themselves because they were just single-minded on that too. And I was like, I respect that they were so productive, but there's a point where it becomes destructive. And even the people who can do it every day, like really diligently, you got to take care of your body. You got to take care of yourself. It is so important to be able to do that too.
yeah. Now there's probably going to be some 20-year-old watching this going, "Pff, bunch of
Old
whiners.
people.
I can paint and draw for 16 hours straight. Nothing bothers me.
You can now.
Time is coming."
Your time is coming too. You don't want to keep, you can't keep you can't keep that clip going. It's not going to work out.
And that's the thing that sucks is like as your skills get better, your body gets worse. So it's like now I
Unfortunately.
want to make more stuff than I made when I sucked, and it's like your body's like,
Mhm.
nope.
Your body's like, you can't actually do this. I was like, but what if I could though? Like I remember I was drawing for like a whole week and I was working on a magic card. And, like my thumb was just all like it was like all sore in here. I'm like, what is this? What is that? That didn't used to, I'm like, this didn't used to happen. That's what getting older is like. This didn't used to happen.
Yeah.
Go
When I
away.
worked in advertising, I worked with a lady that had carpal tunnel issues from just nonstop. She was the first illustrator for this advertising agency that I was with. And the only reason they hired more of us was because she was just burnt out.
Mhm.
But she had a whole cast and on her hand and one of those wraps,
Yeah.
what is it called? But anyway, but she taught me about pressure points in your arms that go all the way up to your neck,
Oh, I know
your
those.
back.
I'm familiar.
So she's talking about if her fingers tingling, but the actual pain is starting up in her
Everything.
shoulder. I'm
Yep.
like, God damn. Like,
Yeah.
that
I
is
have it
no
right now,
joke.
actually. I feel it because it's like there's like a bunch of nerves that connect from it's like from like up here in your head, from your neck. It usually meets at your shoulder blade, and then like your rotator goes down to your radius or whatever, and like it can radiate either to your your index finger, which is your radius, or your ulnar nerve, which goes to your pinky. So if you feel that tingling in your pinky, it's one of those nerves are pinched in your shoulder,
Yep.
and you got to work it out.
And for people that have any tingling in their pinky or their these two fingers here, you might be resting on your ulnar nerve
And I do.
for hours at a time and you wonder why your arm is numb. But yeah, that professional jobs, personal work, whatever it is, that's all I think about all of these things. And then I go, nah, let me just turn on Red Dead Redemption. Nah, I'm good. So
Man. Yeah. Hey, listeners, don't miss the deadline on your personal work.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to think about it. Like, I really don't want to miss the deadline. Gotta make it happen. Take care of yourselves. This is so funny. It's like old person hour right now.
yeah. Bunch of
So late
geezers
in
telling me that I
in
need
the
to
crowd.
stretch.
You officially become boomers.
Oh no.
Mhm.
This is a dumb analogy. I was watching there's like a clip on Parks and Rec. I love Parks and Recreation. There's that episode where the character Ben Wyatt is depressed and laid off from work, and he like comes up with this game, and he's like pitching it to Leslie, his girlfriend or wife, and he's just like explaining this whole game, and he's like in mid explanation, he's like, "This is nothing. Like this is nothing. I'll throw it all away." But it gets shipped to like this tech company, and he walks in one day, and they're playing it, and they're like all like so into it, and they can't believe that he designed it.
Is it the
And
jump to conclusions
what?
game? Is that the name of it?
No,
Was
it was
it
called
jump to
Cones of Dunshire. That's what it was
Oh,
called.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. And
Okay.
it's like because like someone saw his idea and loved it so much, even though he thought it was nothing, it became like a phenomenon. And like I think they were able to like make really good income because they could sell this game.
Oh no.
And he also got like a really good deal or something because like he beat the tech company guys at his own game because it was like he like to prove it was his.
Right, right. That's good.
Yeah, it was a very fun episode, but it was also like validation. I'm like, oh, like sometimes you can make a thing that you think is nothing, and then people actually get really into it.
But also
So
everyone in his life was rolling their eyes super hard whenever we talk about
it,
it. They're like,
it was
not this stupid game, you
like
know?
you're such a nerd.
Yeah.
It's like, but the thing that you love, so it came out. It happened for a reason.
Yeah.
And that really is how ideas come to life. There's some movies that are real stinkers out there, and I'm like, I don't know how people spent millions of dollars making this thing, and it sucks. And it's just like if some you could make people wake up and come out to act in your movie that is real bad, then I surely the thing that I'm working on in my room also deserves to exist.
Absolutely.
I know this is like embrace your cringe part two, but I think it can't be said enough.
It's true. And Eric gets to hear some of it, so that's great.
It's true. Eric gets to take part in the conversation and make his mechs out of balsa wood.
I'm gonna go nuts.
I'm so
I'm
excited.
gonna send you I'm gonna send you some JPEGs and stuff. But I'm excited. I'm gonna have like a month between projects where I can just sit down and do some of that stuff. So I'm gonna make the time. One of the things like I go to this convention, ILXCon every
Yeah.
year. Every year I go, somebody asks me, "Hey, what floor are you on?" As if, as if I'm in the main show, as if I'm showing something, and I always say, "Oh no, I'm just here, just visiting, just seeing my art family." And then whenever they ask me that, what floor are you on? I think about the paintings I should have been working on to submit to even get into the show. Like maybe next year, they'll let me in. But
I mean, clearly you belong because you're getting that question quite a lot. So
right, yeah. It's like, hey, what are you doing away from your table or your booth? What floor are you on? All the time. But I just love going.
One day
Um,
we'll go.
yeah.
you need to.
Lightbox be Lightbox is real hard to skip.
It's always the same weekend. It's been for the last
I
years.
man,
Mhm.
I understand. I mean, it's kind of messed up that they're what are they like a week apart
They're the
or
same
they
Yeah,
weekend.
it's like
overlap?
I think sometimes they're in the same week. I don't know if it's like that this year, but they're usually very close together, and I can't do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Lightbox is also like a similar feel though. It's like an art reunion. But it's for the animation concept crowd instead of like the illustration crowd. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm always between worlds anyway, so I think the Lightbox is like more my speed anyway.
Hmm.
Because I'm an animation kid. When is Lightbox Expo this year? Oh yeah, hey guys, I'll be at Lightbox Expo this year. I'll actually be doing portfolio reviews, so that's cool.
Oh, yay! Amazing.
Yay! I'm very excited about it. But Lightbox will be October 24th to the 26th, 2025. When is those come?
Same.
And I think it is this year.
Piss. So annoying.
Yep.
Always happens. One day I'll be able to go, but I will also be at the Fantasy Art Workshop, which I feel like is like, a week long IllexCon, but like with, having fun illustrators and stuff. I'm excited about that. Hey guys, I'll be at the Fantasy Art Workshop. I don't know if it's too late to apply, but if you're going, I'll be an art director guest of honor.
Yeah.
Enrollment for that ended like a week or two ago.
I'm always too late.
Well, you don't need to be. You're going.
No, I mean like I just like too late to advertise it. And I forget the things that I'm doing and I forget to talk about them. And I'm like, no, it's too late to talk about it. But if you're going, I'll be there. Yay. Probably already know that. And I'll be in your class on June 14th, Eric.
I guess. I gotta figure it out.
Not you not knowing.
Well, no, yeah, something like that. I'll plug something. I'm gonna be at MagicCon Vegas,
Hey.
June 20 something. Plug it, and they don't even know what days you're
Hold
gonna
on, I'm gonna look it up right now so we get this at. Let's get this straight. Let's set the story straight, Eric. All right, let's see. MagicCon Vegas 2025 is. I should actually know the dates for this.
It's the 20th
June 20th to 22nd.
to the 22nd. Yeah. So yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. So yeah, but that's about it.
That's fun. Mia, plug your book, please, before I do it for you.
I mean, my book's been out for a couple weeks now, which is crazy to think about. I think it's gonna be 3 weeks on Tuesday, but it's out in bookstores, libraries. Like I just got somebody messaging me saying their library just got it, which is super exciting. But if it's not at your local bookstore or library, you can actually ask them to order it, and that does help local bookstores, it does help libraries, and it does help authors. So for any of your favorite authors, please do that, because I didn't know that before I put my book out.
We all got so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
Look at us. Who would have thought? But yeah, I don't know what this episode was, but I loved it. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to continue to support us, our links are in the description. Thank you so much for participating, as always, in the live chat. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. It always helps the algorithm. It always helps us get more visibility and notice. We love doing the show, and I know that we've been very sporadic this year, but you know why. We've been all very busy, especially Mia with her book. But now that it's out, look at you. You did it. You did it. Hey guys, it's possible. You can. It turns out you can actually finish projects. I didn't know this before, but you can. It's real. So finish your thing. Make your art. Give your creativity room to breathe, and take care of your body. We love you all very much. And thanks as always for being here. We'll talk to you later. Have a good day, y'all. Bye. Yeah.